everybody. I'm back for some story time with you. I'm so excited because I have this book here that I bought probably 2 years ago just because I liked the name of the book and I liked the illustrations. Now, I've always heard people say this funny saying, and maybe you've heard it too. Don't judge a book by its cover, which means sometimes the cover of a book might not seem so interesting, or at least this is what it means to me. Maybe it doesn't seem so interesting on the cover, but it's a really good story on the inside. This time, I saw the cover of this book and I did judge it, but I judged it in a good way because I saw the picture, I saw this beautiful illustration of this little girl, and I saw I read the title, Listening with My Heart, and I thought, that just sounds like a really captivating, interesting story that I want to read. I bought it, then I got it, and when I got it, when it came, I ordered it, and then when it got delivered to my classroom, I put it on my bookshelf, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna read that sometime. And it has sat on my bookshelf all that time, and I have not read it yet. I didn't even read it before I read this, or I made this video. So we're gonna unveil this book together today. We're gonna read it together and see what it's about. So it's called Listening with My Heart. It's written by, I'm gonna get my magnifier ready here. Written by a person named Gabi Garcia, illustrated by Ying Tan. And it says, a story of kindness and self-compassion. And this is just a really good time to think about kindness, how to be kind to other people, and compassion. At my school, if you're in my kindergarten class, you know that we talk about that word compassion a lot in relation to giving compassion to other people and showing compassion to them when they're hurt or when they need help or when they're having any kind of a hard time. This one says, a story of kindness and self-compassion. So I want you to think, if you know what compassion is for others, showing compassion to others, what do you think self-compassion might be? Yeah, I think it might be showing kindness and compassion to yourself. So let's see if this is going to tell us how she does that. Listening with my heart. Get nice and cozy here in my chair. Has chairs on it, you see? That's why I call it that. All right. Ooh. First of all, before I even read the story, I want you to notice these end pages, which I like to also call the beginning pages because it's the beginning of the story. There are hearts on those pages. There's a note. It says, a note for parents and educators. And I'm an educator, that's a teacher. So it's a note about the idea of kindness and self-compassion. So let's get into this story and see what it says. Esperanza's tummy fluttered as she practiced her lines on the porch. Today was the class play. Waiting for Mama to walk with her to school, she paced back and forth when she spotted a heart-shaped rock. Ooh, have you ever found any kind of a shape in a rock? I know sometimes it's fun to go outside and look for different rocks, and sometimes even people paint on rocks, and that's kind of fun. She found a heart-shaped rock. There it is. Esperanza picked it up and showed it to Mama as soon as she stepped outside. I see you found a little treasure, said Mama. Esperanza rubbed its rough surface and felt a twinkle of joy. Maybe it's a sign. For what? Asked Mama. She thought about the class play later that afternoon and was wondering what it would finally be like to be in the spotlight. It's a sign to put my heart into everything I do, she answered. Here's the picture. A sign to put her heart into everything she does. At that moment, they heard scratching and a soft cry. Esperanza peeked under the stairs and spotted a kitty, shaking and shivering. No mama kitty in sight. She scooped the kitten onto her lap and cuddled her. She's all alone. I think she's very hungry. Esperanza reached for her lunch bag, pinched off a piece of chicken, and offered it to the kitty, who gobbled it up. Let's see what happens next. Mama, I think the rock is a reminder to spread kindness. That's what we do when we listen to our hearts. I think you're on to something, said Mama. Can we keep, this is a fancy name, Cleocatra, please? Asked Esperanza, who had already named her kitty. Queens are always welcome at our house, said Mama. If she's still here after school, we will take her in. You might know about a queen in history named Cleopatra, and she is changing that name to call that kitten Cleocatra. That's kind of fancy and fun. At school, Esperanza was more focused on the play than on math or on reading. Clutching her script during recess, she noticed Bayo sitting alone on a bench. He was new in school this week and didn't speak much English. She wondered if he felt lonely or scared. Esperanza found a soccer ball and kicked it over to him. Have you ever been new to a place, maybe a school, or to somewhere you went to for the first time? Did you feel a little bit lonely or scared? I have before when I was new. She kicked it over to him. A smile spread across Bayo's face. He stood, popped the ball in the air, and bounced it in between his knees and his head a few times. Dude's got moves, thought Esperanza. She's impressed. They spent recess giggling and making up hand signals. I'm thinking that she's right. He might not speak a lot of her language. He might speak a different language more, but they are figuring out a good way to communicate. Afterwards, Esperanza borrowed Miss Owen's English and Vietnamese dictionary. She wrote friend in Vietnamese. She drew a picture of Bayo and her and then put it on his desk. Esperanza rubbed the rock in her pocket. Listening with her heart made her feel peaceful inside. In my kindergarten class, we talk about listening to one another, and we also talk about filling up one another's buckets. That means doing something kind and compassionate for somebody else. And I think that's part of listening with your heart when you're working with someone else, right? Made her feel peaceful inside. Let's see what happens next. Finally, it was time for the performance. It was too late for Beo to be in the play, but he stood at Mrs. Owen's side as a stagehand. That means a helper. Excitement bubbled as Esperanza awaited her cue. Take a look at their setting on their play. Looks like in the background of where the characters are standing, or the actors are standing, there's a bright, beautiful rainbow. It looks kind of like they're in a garden or a park. I see butterflies and flowers. They are excited. Let's see if we can find Beo. Oh, over there, I think. All right, let's see what happens in this play. Esperanza walked on stage, tripped as she was about to say her first line, and splattered across the stage. Oh, she fell down. That must have hurt. When she got up, she forgot her lines, so Mrs. Owen whispered them to her from backstage. Heat rushed through Esperanza's body as all eyes in the audience were glued to her. She wished she could disappear. What feeling do you think she's feeling right now? Probably, definitely hurt physically from falling down, but what do you think her heart is feeling? I'm wondering if she's feeling a little bit embarrassed or nervous or scared. Yeah, I would be if I fell down and forgot my lines. I ruined the play, thought Esperanza, rushing off the stage as soon as she had finished her part. I'm such a dummy for forgetting my lines. I messed up in front of everyone. She tucked herself in behind some props so that no one would see her. Esperanza noticed her body shaking and her face was still burning. She took a deep breath and dug the rock out of her pocket. It was cracked and lopsided, just how she felt. Esperanza touched her hand to her heart and felt the disappointment. Have you ever felt so overwhelmed that your body felt maybe like it was shaking or your face felt hot? I've had that when I felt angry or when I felt even just like overwhelmed and just really anxious. She's got a little crack on her heart rock too, but she's still getting it out. And I heard in those words, she took a deep breath. Is that a good thing to do? Yes. Okay, let's see what happens in this play. Beo found Esperanza a few minutes later and handed her a drawing with the word friend written above it. Esperanza nodded. She hadn't been treating herself like a friend. There's that picture he made for her. Friend. She showed compassion for him earlier in the day, and then he showed compassion for her. But I'm thinking about this word, this last line that I just read. It says, she had not been treating herself like a friend. Yeah, that's an important thing to think about, treating yourself just as nice as you would to a friend. Esperanza realized that this wasn't the first time that she had been unkind to herself. At the soccer game last weekend, she had missed the ball when it swooshed by her head, and they lost the game. Nice work, a player from the other team yelled as the others laughed. Esperanza thought she had let her team down and was the worst soccer player in the world. Thinking those thoughts had made her feel even worse. Yeah, when you think things like, I'm the worst, does that make you feel better or worse? Ew. Let's see. At the curtain call of the play, Esperanza reminded herself that she had not ruined the play. She had an accident, and accidents happen to everyone. Listening with her heart wasn't just about giving kindness and love to others. It was also about giving it to herself, too. I can be a friend to myself, thought Esperanza. Beo was certainly being a friend to her, and she was to him, but she's learning something about being a friend to herself. Have you ever been a friend to yourself? Let's see. When Esperanza got home, she focused on her favorite things. She zipped down the hill on her bike. Then she spent the whole afternoon painting at the kitchen table. She also got the hug she needed from Mama and some cuddles from Cleopatra. Remember Cleopatra? The kitty was still there. It's really important to do the things that you love when you need to show yourself some self-compassion. Ooh, and that's the very end, but there are some notes that I'm going to read to you. It says, listening with your heart. Some days stink. Not everything will go the way you want. You'll get upset. When this happens, you can pause, take a few deep breaths, and practice listening with your heart. You can name what you are feeling. Whatever you feel is okay. You can listen to your body. Notice the sensations that you are feeling in your body. You can pay attention to your self-talk. Are the words supportive and understanding or mean and rude? Are you being a friend to yourself? When we treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we give to someone that we care for, we are practicing self-compassion. This side talks about being my own friend. Let's see what it says. Wrap your arms around yourself and give yourself a gentle hug. Take a few deep breaths and close your eyes if you'd like. Say these words to yourself. When I feel sadness, may I treat myself like the friend I need. Ooh, I'm gonna try this right now. Will you try it with me? Let me set this down. I'm gonna give myself a hug and say, when I feel sadness, may I treat myself like the friend I need. When I feel sadness, may I treat myself like the friend I need. Let's see if there's more. May I show love and kindness to myself. Let's try that. May I show love and kindness to myself. Let's see what else. When I feel anger, may I treat myself like the friend I need. May I show love and kindness to myself. Think of the feelings you experience that are difficult for you and fill in the blank. When I feel blank, that's the feeling you would fill in right there. May I treat myself like the friend I need. May I show love and kindness to myself. Can you try this with me one more time? I'm feeling a little bit lonely today. Can you help me say those words and put that word lonely in that blank spot? Let's try it. Give myself a hug. And I'm gonna say, when I feel lonely, may I treat myself like the friend I need. Will you say that with me? When I feel lonely, may I treat myself like the friend I need. And the next part says, may I show love and kindness to myself. Let's try that. May I show love and kindness to myself. And that you can try with any feeling you're feeling. It might not be lonely for you. It might not be sad or angry. It might even be happy. You could still treat yourself like the friend you need, even when you're happy or joyful. I bet there's lots of feelings that we're feeling these days. I think this is a good way to remind ourselves that we need to treat ourselves the way that we would treat a friend, with compassion and kindness. I hope you enjoyed this story. There's more words to give us some more ideas, so maybe we'll read those next time. Have a good day. Treat yourself with love and kindness.